This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and I am Karl Gerber. This show, which is normally heard from 7 to 8 p.m. Sundays on this station, but will move to this Saturday time all week starting in December, has been heard at this Saturday time only twice on this station. Those programs were preceded with considerable serious lead-up about employment law and who I am. Yes, I'm a real workplace lawyer, and I hope you call me if you have a real case against your employer, but I must say the Saturday shows to date have not really showcased what this program is about. They were entirely too sedated. This is a no-holds-barred episode of the craziest, over-the-top comedy you'll hear on any commercial radio station. Now we turn to my guest. Mrs., the reason why we've brought you down into the makeshift recording studio of Employment Lawyers Group Sherman Oaks is certain things were said about you and your daughters on episode 78.
I am here to defend my daughter.
Well, this is like any other form of legal discovery.
Legal discovery.
Claims were made about your daughters, and I'm interested in discovering the truth.
It's no secret my eldest is the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator in the world.
Judicial notice can be taken of that fact.
What's that?
Judicial notice in California are facts and propositions of generalized knowledge that are so universally known that they cannot reasonably be the subject of dispute.
Right. Such as who doesn't know Cindy D is a phone sex operator?
And even more so, who hasn't had a landline phone sex call with her?
I haven't.
Well, I'm not that interested in conducting discovery in the Cindy D. I'm quite familiar with Cindy D, and so are the listeners.
You and your listener should be with that not very good sex robot circulating the globe that doesn't look much like her. Don't tell me. You're another victim of, getting stuck?
To the contrary! Your daughter has been on this show quite a few times. I assure you I have neither tested nor used for personal gratification that robot.
Oh, then, what's wrong with you? Are you gay?
The whole idea just isn't appealing to me. And besides, I feel as if Cindy D is a colleague of mine.
Oh, you're a phone sex operator too?
She's a colleague of mine, not so much in legal practice, but in terms of this show. She makes frequent appearances. The listeners of this show devour the going-ons of her life.
Cindy D suffered a shower injury at the Lucky 7 Tarzana. Cindy D's genius daughter isolated a particle smaller than that which was previously existed. Cindy D went to work for the National Felony League thinking it was the National Football League. I tell you, Mr. Gerber, this is not how I raised her.
Which is why I asked you to appear on this show. The rumor is you're also Reverb's mother, and Reverb also has special sexual powers.
Reverb?
She was on this show on episode 78. She claims she is Cindy D's younger sister.
I don't know her.
I might find that plausible if it were not for the fact Cindy D's 8-year-old genius daughter, Vargine, sent Reverb a text message addressing her as Auntie.
Vargine does have an aunt.
Can you describe her?
Sure.
Will you?
She's a very nice woman.
I presume there's something wrong with her appearance or otherwise, if this is how you describe her.
You're a smart one.
Could you tell me what this aunt looks like? I want to know if she fits Reverb's description.
Okay, she's about 25, very matronly. She likes to cook. Whenever I see her, she's wearing an apron. She's a reborn Christian and sings Christian rock when she cooks.
This doesn't sound like Reverb.
Vargine's aunt is a parochial school teacher.
Reverb is an ASMR whisper porn celebrity.
Oh, I know somebody like that.
Well, doesn't everybody?
Probably.
Reverb looks a lot like Cindy D. They both have dirty blonde hair. Well, I think Cindy D's gone a little lighter.
Nope. Vargine's aunt has dark hair. I don't know who this Reverb is.
We were told she's Cindy D's sister, which makes you her mother.
Cindy D's sister?
Reverb forgot she had a sister, but Vargine reminded her the two used to share a room.
Huh, this does sound familiar.
Are you Cindy D's mother, or aren't you?
I was pretty sedated when she was born, but I've been with that girl for 30 years now.
Do you have another daughter?
Not really.
Well, how can the answer to this deposition question be not really?
It is.
I don't mean to argue with you, but wouldn't you know if you had a daughter?
I should know.
Well, this is an odd question, but do you recall giving birth to a girl besides Cindy D?
Recall? Mr. Gerber, that's not something I'd forget.
I was just asking.
Do a lot of women you know forget they have given birth?
Oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't go around asking that question.
You should. It might jog a lot of memories.
Does it jog any particular memory of yours?
Now, they say children don't start talking until they are at least 6 months old. In Cindy's case, I swear I heard noises the minute she came out.
Oh, what was she saying?
Mr. Gerber, this is commercial radio.
How can a cute little baby girl noise get us in trouble on the radio?
Oh, Cindy has always had a particular talent. I thought she would go on to Oxford, maybe major in erotic literature, put her gift to task. I am a college graduate.
I was sort of wondering, but, are there any other majors over there at Oxford? We seem to get a lot of guests with that particular major on this show.
Look, I didn't think Cindy would be any Nazuki. I hoped she wouldn't. I guess things all happen for a reason.
Well, what about this girl, Reverb?
Is she a friend of Cindy's?
You're supposed to be her mother.
She's stolen my maternal identity? I always thought identity theft was stealing a credit card or using a social security number. Pretending somebody is your mother takes it to a whole new level.
I believe she uses the same last name as you.
What name is that?
Oh, could you tell us what your last name is?
I could.
Are you going to?
No.
Well, that's odd. Why not?
You'd make fun of me.
Is it Dukakuda Kinsey?
That's close.
Well, what is it?
Dukuni Linsky.
Dookie Kunalinsky.
Duke Kiana South.
Dukiana South?
I am not related to that rapper.
Who?
Jorge West.
Well, how is that related to Dukiana South?
That's not my name.
Well, could you spell your name for us?
D-U-M-M-Y-L-I-N-S-K-Y. V-A-V-I-O-U-U-S.
Dummy litivivias with two U's.
You have it all wrong.
Well, could you go a little slower on this name?
I'd rather.
Well, so you can spell your last name?
Dunny side up.
Well, that's not what you said a minute ago.
Mr. Gerber, haven't you ever heard of a last name that's never spelled nor pronounced the same way twice?
Oh, yes, I have. That's what both Cindy D and Reverb do.
Cindy D is my daughter. What do you expect?
Ay. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We're talking to a woman who is supposed to be, well, we think she's Cindy D's mother, and Cindy D is the most famous landline phone sex operator of the English-speaking variety in the world. But is she Reverb's mother? You know, this is like a deposition, cross-examination. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm doing some discovery on whether this woman really is the mother of Reverb, who was on here 2 episodes ago. If you want to go to the Karl Gerber with K channel and listen, strongly encourage that. But if you have a real workplace problem and you want a lawyer that's going to cross-examine those employers that you work for and those supervisors and managers and make them look really stupid, maybe they'll be telling you that their name is Ducalitivicacious. I'd like to hear from you at normal business hours, 877-525-0700. For a lawyer that does sexual harassment, wrongful termination, unpaid wages, 877-525-0700. Licensed in 4 states, 15 offices in California. 877-525-0700 for Karl Gerber, the original workplace lawyer. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute, and we'll find out more about this woman with this squeaky voice who's supposed to be Cindy D's mother. Maybe Reverb, too. Talk Radio 790 KABC. Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I've got a woman in studio who is definitely Cindy D's mother, the most famous landline phone sex operator of the English-speaking variety in the world. I don't know if she's Reverb's mother. That's what we're trying to find out. So, Mrs. D, we'll just call you Mrs. D. I got a picture of Reverb. It's the thumbnail for episode 78 of this show on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube. Have you ever seen this woman before?
Yes, I have.
Where?
Her picture is, like you said, the thumbnail for episode 78 of this show on the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube.
Well, then you unequivocally deny ever seeing her before that thumbnail went viral 2 weeks ago?
I don't know who she is.
Not your daughter, right?
She's not my daughter. I don't know what else I can say.
The other rumor I want to clarify is...
You brought me on this weekly radio address to discuss a bunch of rumors? How does this relate to employment law?
You're being questioned as an adverse witness.
I am not adverse.
Well, I decided you are.
What gives you the right to make that decision?
Are you denying facts which must be true and giving me a very hard time not spelling your name the same way twice?
The nerve of you thinking you've got a procedural advantage because I'm an adverse witness.
Yeah, I can ask leading questions.
Like what?
Mrs. D, isn't it true that Reverb is your daughter?
I will tell you now, and I'll tell you 114 times. She's not my daughter, and the first time I'd ever seen her was when I saw the thumbnail for episode 78 of this show 2 weeks ago.
Mrs. D, can you look at exhibit number 1?
What's exhibit number 1?
The picture in front of you. Tell us what's in that picture. I'm sure everyone can see it who's listening.
Oh, well, that's a picture of me from Cindy D's high school graduation.
Oh, Cindy D graduated with honors?
All my daughters did.
Plural. Then you admit you have more than one daughter.
No.
Who else is in the picture that's exhibit number 1? Besides Cindy D.
Lots of people. You can see some of the other graduates behind Cindy.
Well, who's the girl standing right next to you?
Me?
Yes, the girl, maybe about 12, with dirty blonde hair. It looks like she's whispering something into your ear.
I don't see anybody whispering into my ear.
Okay, she's leaning over towards your ear.
I don't agree.
Do you care to describe the young lady's action in the picture?
There's no young lady in the picture, just Cindy.
This is ridiculous. Mrs. D, may I have that picture back?
I want to hold on to this. I thought I lost the pictures from Cindy's graduation.
Can I put a Post-it pad on the picture?
I don't see why not.
Okay, I've placed a Post-it pad on the head of who I's described as the 12-year-old girl in the picture with dirty blonde hair. It's a 3-inch Post-it pad on a 4x6 photograph. Do you see the Post-it pad on Exhibit 1?
Well, sure, it's taking up most of the picture.
And the image underneath the Post-it pad takes up half the picture, correct?
You're suggesting the answer.
I've called you as an adverse witness under California Evidence Code 776. This is cross-examination.
If you say so.
The Post-it pad is actually blocking out a girl in the picture, correct?
If you say so.
Well, do you deny that there is a dirty blonde adolescent, almost adolescent girl in exhibit number 1?
Well, adolescent is a broad term. Women mature differently.
Okay, forget the Post-it. No, forget the word adolescent. Is there a person with dirty blonde hair the Post-it pad is blocking out?
You'd have to take the Post-it pad off. How would I know?
Oh my God. Okay, now that I've done that, do you see the person I've been referring to?
Now I'm all confused. Where was the Post-it pad?
Well, as all the listeners can see, let the evidence reflect you have evaded the most basic and obvious questions about a girl in the picture. A girl who takes up half the picture. Well, the other half is mainly you and Cindy D, your daughter, that you admit to.
I don't agree with that characterization.
Okay, moving along. Mrs. D, can you take a look at Exhibit 2? Do you recognize the girl in that picture?
I want to say I've seen her somewhere.
Is it the same person in the thumbnail for this show 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's where I saw her before.
Do you have an explanation how this girl got into Cindy D's high school graduation picture, and she also got into this picture, Exhibit 2, of your 50th birthday?
I never admitted she was on the picture with the high school graduation.
Well, how long ago was this picture taken of your 50th birthday party?
Oh, if I admitted that, I'd be telling you how old I was.
Is Vargine in that picture?
She's standing next to that matronly aunt I told you about earlier.
And the young lady who looks like she's about 18 in the picture, is she the same one in the high school graduation picture with Cindy D?
I never admitted she was in the high school graduation picture.
Yeah, but she is. So at any rate, who does that girl look more like? You or the matronly aunt?
Me, of course.
Is she your daughter?
Okay, I do remember something about her.
What? Did you raise her?
Now this is coming back to me.
Did she live in the same house as you?
It seems that way.
Is she your daughter?
You're saying so many things. I can't really think right now.
Is there a reason why you don't want to admit she's your daughter?
Yes.
What is the reason?
This is going to sound strange.
Oh, this is a strange show.
Well, then this is safe ground.
Okay, go ahead.
I remember that girl.
What makes you now remember?
I think she lived in my house for about 13 years.
Oh, did her father have custody at one point?
I don't know.
Well, you are her mother, aren't you?
This is going to sound strange.
Remember, you're in a strangeness safety zone.
Okay, that girl just appeared one day.
Well, of course. I mean, like, where did she come from?
I don't know.
And then you raised her out of the goodness of your heart.
What else was I supposed to do? Look at her. Mr. Gerber, you probably only wish you had a daughter that cute.
So, did you alert the authorities that this girl just appeared in your house one day?
I want to take back the thing about 13 years. Now that I'm thinking about it, she lived with me until she was about 18.
Well, then how old was she when she first started living in your house?
Days old. I don't know, a baby.
Where were you living at the time? Things like this would happen.
South Van Nuys.
How did the baby get into your house?
I felt like maybe she was a party favor and somebody left her.
Well, is that what happened?
No, she appeared on my porch.
Didn't you call the authorities?
They said she was my daughter. Everybody always said that.
Was she your daughter?
It wasn't possible. Let me speak in scientific terms. My uterus was removed after I had Cindy's brother.
When was that?
A few years before that girl appeared.
Well, this is nonsense.
You don't believe me?
Let's change the subject.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in a profession that gets a bad name.
You aren't in the sex industry, are you?
Sometimes.
Can you be more specific?
I am not a whisper porn or phone sex operator, if that's what you're insinuating.
Like your daughters. Then what do you do?
Well, there's a gray zone these days about bioengineering.
Are you in that field?
Yes.
What do you do?
Biomedical engineering.
Oh boy, I think this could unfold, and I hope it does, because this is Cindy D's mother. She is the most famous landline phone sex operator of the English-speaking variety. I don't know if she's Reverb's mother, but I'm just trying to conduct discovery and find out. What I do normally during the week is I do conduct discovery on class action cases. I try to figure out who's in the class, what they're owed, all those kind of things. If you've got a case for unpaid wages, call me at the office, normal business hours, 877-525-0700. You got a case for sexual harassment? We do a lot of that at the Employment Lawyers Group, 877-525-0700. I really am a workplace lawyer, and this is how I come up with these scripts with the crazy witnesses I examine. 877-525-0700. If you want everyone on the other side of your case to sound like the loony witnesses on this episode. All right, Talk Radio, 790 KABC, Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, back in 1 minute. All right, Talk Radio, 790 KABC. You're listening to Karl Gerber, Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer. We've got a mother in studio, and I don't know if she's a mother of one or a mother of two super freaky girls. So I'm going to ask you, Mrs. D, do you consider yourself a scientist?
Well, I have a PhD.
Is this going to be, The expert we had on episode 76, who went to a Caribbean medical school. Well, he didn't go there. He corresponded there. And then he graduated 8 out of his class of 10 and went on to invent the world's largest condom.
I am not a medical doctor, and my PhD is from the U.S.
Where in the U.S.?
I had to finish up at UCI. I had 2 kids.
Would that happen to be Reverb and Cindy D?
Cindy and her brother.
Oh, wow, you actually have a PhD from the University of California, Irvine?
I was out in California with my ex. I couldn't finish up at Johns Hopkins.
What were you doing in Baltimore?
Filming a John Waters movie.
I thought you went to college at Johns Hopkins.
I did. I got my master's there. That's where I met my ex. I was an extra in the John Waters movie.
Was your ex more involved in that movie than just extra work?
It was his life.
Things are starting to come together.
If you say so.
Fast forward 6 or 10 years, you're in South Van Nuys, presumably talking like a proper Southerner there.
That's when the baby was left at my door.
Were you still married?
We'd gone our separate ways.
Do you admit the girl in question, not Cindy D, looks like you?
That's why everybody always thought she was my daughter.
Did you bioengineer her?
Hardly. That was the mid-90s. I hadn't even germinated a human cell yet.
You've germinated a human cell?
Oh, eventually. Entire body parts.
Can I see some of these?
This is commercial radio.
Have you ever met Rhemus Helms?
Oh, of course. I live in the San Fernando Valley.
Did you ever engage in procreational activities with him?
It's funny. He had a warehouse out in Chatsworth. That's where a lot of those porno tape warehouses were back in the 90s. I worked at a biotech startup in the same business park.
Did you or did you not engage in procreational activities with Rhemus Helms, the most important man in Sun Valley, California?
Back then, I'm not even sure if he lived in Sun Valley, California.
Need I ask the question again? In procreational activities with a certain man who defines the pop culture of America?
Rhemus Helms?
Who else?
Rhemus Helms. I don't think I met him until my daughter got a gig over at his cosplay ostrich ranch. That was last year.
Then Reverb is not Rhemus Helms' daughter?
To tell you the God's honest truth, stack of Bibles and all, the girl you call Reverb wasn't left at my door.
Well, then how did she get into your life?
I remember being in that house in South Van Nuys by the 405. Cindy was spending a lot of time on the telephone. I'm not sure who she was talking to.
How old was she at the time?
She was a first grader, and these fourth grade boys started coming over to the house.
Oh, no.
Maybe one of the boys left their sister in my bedroom.
All right, let's go through this step by step. Do you know what time of the day you first laid your eyes on the woman now known as Reverb?
Oh, it was a Sunday morning. I'd been making orange juice for the kids. Cindy was in her room on the phone. Her brother was walking around the kitchen following me.
What happened next?
I called the kids to breakfast.
Can we skip ahead to something of significance with you first seeing Reverb?
Well, Cindy was using the cordless phone, and I didn't know where it was. I went to the landline in my bedroom when I heard the phone ring. There was a third-grade boy who wanted to talk to Cindy. I said no, she's eating breakfast. He asked me if he could watch Cindy eat breakfast. I thought that was weird.
Mrs. D, maybe you should have nipped all those phone calls in the bud back then.
I used to lay in bed at night and think to myself, how did it happen?
Reverb just appearing?
No, me having a PhD and Cindy becoming a phone sex operator.
Well, it sounds like it's in her blood.
It is.
Well, have you confirmed that?
Tests were conducted.
Well, what was the result?
My daughters are related to each other, but only peripherally related to me.
You admit you have 2 daughters?
Reverb?
Mrs. D, I won't attempt to pronounce your last name. I mean, I could, but no sooner than I'd get it right, you'd tell me it was something else.
Dosha Handle.
Dine and Ditch?
Yes, that's my last name.
I can't believe I've gotten one of you to agree to the pronunciation of your name.
Can I go now?
Given the miraculous accomplishment of you agreeing to a pronunciation of your last name, well, we should just end on a high note.
Wait, how did you pronounce my name?
Dine and Ditch.
That's not it at all. Dinezinidititious.
All right. At any rate, we were down to the kids, that is Cindy D and her brother, eating breakfast, and then the phone rang, and it was a third grader looking for Cindy D for inappropriate reasons.
Yes, that's when I saw the woman now known as Reverb. At least you say she is, but she was an infant. Only a few days old.
Oh, what was she doing in your bedroom?
She was crawling around in my bedroom, making weird noises.
And she was just a few days old?
Actually, she wasn't crawling. It just seemed that way because of the noises she was making.
Oh, what did these noises sound like? Did you just do that?
I don't know what came over me. It just happens sometimes.
Well, this is an investigative episode of the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We're talking to the admitted mother of Cindy D, the most famous landline phone sex operator in the world, who was explaining when she first laid her eyes on a Reverb, who is related to Cindy D, but not particularly to this mother, who incidentally has a PhD from UCI.
And then, for a long time, Reverb got in a lot of family photos.
When this conversation started, you had disavowed her existence in graduation pictures. A picture from your 50th birthday party.
Can you see her?
Plainly in the pictures, and plainly when she was on episode 78 of this show.
Mr. Gerber, I've really been through a lot in my life. You might not know it looking at me.
Yeah, you look like you're in your mid-30s.
Thank you, but I am not.
I'm having some trouble believing you could be the mother of a 30-year-old.
Well, I've had some work done.
Could you be more specific?
Oh, this isn't my original face.
Well, whatever they did a great job. I mean, I'm assuming you're about 55 and you look 20 years younger.
I took off my face a few years back.
Oh, that's an odd expression. Now I believe you are 55. Nobody talks about taking their face off anymore.
Want to see a picture?
I know a few women in their mid-40s to early 50s. You know, they post on Facebook.
Is that unusual?
Not really, but they post pictures of themselves putting on weird ointments on their faces that are supposed to work wonders.
Oh, most of that stuff is a waste of money. Especially if that talk radio doctor on the other station, what's her name? It's a him sometimes. Oh, Dr. Shivago, that's the crook. Those products don't have any irrelevant chemicals. You'd better be off rubbing Diet Sprite on your face.
Well, that's sort of racist. Not everybody has a white face.
Well, fine. Diet Sunkissed. Mr. Gerber, you have a slightly orange complexion. Do you soak Diet Sunkissed into your porn?
Oh, man, I wish. I don't have the time. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm going crazy in here, and if you have a real race discrimination case, I hope you call me during normal business hours at the office, 877-525-0700. Once again, 877-525-0700. If you have a real employment discrimination case and you want good legal representation, 877-525-0700. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC, and we'll be back in just 1 minute. All right. You were telling me before we broke that you grew a new face? Like, oh my God, look at that picture. Were you in an accident?
Well, about 10 years ago, I figured out how to do this. I didn't want to go too radical. Okay, I was 45 and I looked 25 at the time.
This may be the mother of Cindy D. The risk is infection. I mean, I've never heard about being able to grow a new face.
Oh, we do it all the time.
Well, this is getting weird.
I am Cindy D's mother.
What about Reverb?
I have no idea where she came from.
As a scientist, can you explain the whole Reverb appeared in your house ordeal?
As a scientist, I definitely cannot. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
I feel we have gotten absolutely nowhere, and this discussion has not involved employment law in the least.
Oh, come on. I was a working mother. I had to finish my PhD on the West Coast because I got married. A couple years later, my husband decided he was an asexual drag queen, and he left me.
Was your husband Cindy D's father?
I thought he was.
Were you with any other men at the time?
I wasn't ever with Rhemus Helms, but after listening to parts of that episode 78 near the end of your show where he claimed he was Reverb's father, I started to wonder.
Well, didn't you always wonder?
There's a lot of freaks out there. Why would I come pointing my finger Rhemus Helms' way?
You're calling your daughter a freak?
First of all, she's not my daughter.
That's Reverb.
There is no documentation I gave birth to her.
That's Reverb.
I did raise her, but sometimes it seemed she wasn't part of the family.
Well, you know, this isn't a show about who fit in and who is naturally a good fit. But if you make a sex robot out of them, and men will get stuck.
Of all the low-down things. How dare you say that about Cindy?
Well, aren't you the slightest bit sore with Rhemus Helms for making that unauthorized sex robot that doesn't look like Cindy D and apparently isn't the right proportions either?
I heard they listened to her rerun phone sex calls and based upon those completely inaccurate descriptions, made a robot that was supposed to be her.
Well, that is true.
Sometimes I wonder about those scientists at the Helms Corporation, and even the ones at the Helms Foundation.
Well, Rhemus Helms claims he's done business with you.
Here's the thing. I'm not the owner of where I work. I'm just a director of a certain department. If the sales department made a deal with some tentacle of the Helms Corporation, I wouldn't know.
What exactly do you do?
I am in bioengineering.
Well, can you be more specific?
Yes?
May I ask a leading question?
I suppose.
Do you make body parts?
No, that's crude. I don't think of it like that.
But you do make human body parts.
The term human has many different meanings. Human in how you are born, or human as in a living, breathing cell that becomes part of your body.
Oh, that's an interesting point of view.
Say, for instance, somebody has a blood transfusion. The blood isn't theirs at all. It ends up dividing, multiplying, supplying organs. The organs heal or grow, and cells are made. Do you call somebody soulless just because they had a blood transfusion?
Well, no.
By the same logic, should you call a body part non-human if it was made to grow into their body?
Well, say, for instance, a cell of Gerber that is actually nylon.
I know where you're going with this. Ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon aren't the same thing. You have to draw the line somewhere. It's downright unethical to sell a toupee that has to be tampooned 16 times a day, or it grows so uncontrollably it's a weapon of mass destruction.
Is there a particular type of body part you are famous for?
Not famous. I don't hold the patent. I was an employee. I was an employee during the invention. My company holds the patent.
What exactly does this product do?
Oh, lots of things.
Have these products been used in certain non-human products that the Helms Corporation manufactures?
Mr. Gerber, I am not authorized to talk about this.
Oh, really? A trade secret?
Legal issues.
The hundreds of tiny earthquakes, perhaps caused by excess liquids that got into the magna underneath Rhemus Helms' worldwide distribution center in Fontana due to his procreating sex robots. That's episode 63.
Yeah, that is one of the issues.
Then you do admit you have some perfected bioengineered sex organs.
I'd like to think the process has been perfected.
Well, how long have these products been on the market?
The company I work for entered into a trial run with the Helms Corporation.
A trial run?
My employer suspected the Helms Corporation would be able to get a lot of use out of these products in a short period of time. This would save years of clinical research if the organs were used on actual people. There were other benefits also. In the event of an adverse effect, the product would not be, this might not sound very nice, but we thought the sort of people involved over at the Helms Corporation would use these products anyway.
Oh, this is highly unethical. Give sex fiends a product to test because they'd find a way of having sex with a bioengineered sex organ anyway. And if there's some downside, well, that's their problem.
There is absolutely no clinical evidence of any human health risks associated with these human parts. Well, maybe overexcitement.
Well, any other risks?
Misuse.
Can you be more specific?
Okay, it's not misuse. It's the whole thing with the men getting stuck.
Did your company foresee these risks?
I don't know if I can explain this. I can, but I'll sound too strange.
Oh, come now. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show where we discuss the strangest sexual phenomena out there and tie it into employment law.
You're right. What was I thinking? We didn't think the people at the Helms Corporation would attach the product to anything.
Oh, gross! This is really weird. It's like I have a manual rebar cutter. I mounted it to like 1.5 inch board, so when I close the teeth, the cutter is level, opposed to, floating at different gaps and elevations in the ground when we're cutting pieces of steel less than 1 inch thick. Well, the thought of the people at the Helms Foundation using these sex robots that are just plopped down, sitting on a concrete floor. No, not sex robots, sex organs, not even attached to a sex robot. Oh, what were you thinking? I mean, your employer.
That's what the whole lawsuit is about. We never authorized the Helms Corporation to put those parts into a human-like robot.
Are you sure that's what they've done?
Those sex robots have parts in them. There's no denying it.
What if the Helms Corporation, or even the Helms Foundation, which is obviously here to perpetuate sex, what if they sort of reverse engineered your product and improved it?
To be perfectly honest with you, the way I left the research, my work functioned, but it did not function insofar as the reproductive sense.
And your product wasn't mounted either. And the Helms sex robots have procreated. There's no denying that, is there?
Mr. Gerber, I don't think I am authorized to say any more about this.
Well, then either your work has matured or Rhemus Helms people have improved it.
This doesn't make me Reverb's biological mother.
How many scientists worked on the human sex organs you created?
Oh, it was a one-woman project. I had interns and a couple of lab assistants, but it's all my work.
And you didn't find it a little coincidental that your admitted daughter is the most famous English-speaking landline phone sex operator, and the daughter who just appeared at your house one morning as a couple-day-old crawling and babbling infant has the gift of causing a sexual climax with her voice?
Oh, I know. Something is wrong.
I just don't feel we've really accounted for where Reverb came from, how Rhemus Helms is involved in this, and whether your work has been modified by a tentacle of Rhemus Helms to procreate in the form of the sex robot, and moreover, why it procreates. It procreates as another sex robot, not a human being. This is simply mind-boggling.
There's one other thing I have to ask you. How does any of this relate to employment law?
Oh, listeners, you're going to have to think long and hard about that one. But cases really are this strange. I'm not saying I've represented someone who created a sex organ that isn't mounted on a product and it's just a piece of concrete, but I've represented employees in every industry, and don't be embarrassed to call me about a case. I've heard it all. 877-525-0700 during normal business hours. 877-525-0700 for an employment lawyer that will make everyone crack up on the case. 877-525-0700 for the employment lawyer that will script your direct examination so you sound good, but those adverse witnesses sound as crazy as the guest Rhemus Helms supplies me with on this show. Have a wonderful week of abuse. This has been the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Next week, we're on Sunday.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.